continental greeting from our most pro-European politician, Charles Clegg there. Can I just thank, on your behalf, everybody who's been putting this evening together, but particularly our hosts, Ross Scott, my close friend and our outstanding president. Sarah Tether, who, well, I think she's got some explaining to do to some people after the jokes. I suspect the lawyers have gone round and David Cameron will be writing letters to her right now. Can we have your jokes checked by the Whip's office next year, perhaps? But no. Thank you so much, Sarah, for a fantastic display of wit. Floella is running the Great Northern Run. What time are you setting off tomorrow morning? 8 o'clock in Newcastle tomorrow morning. Unbelievable. Listening to Floella talk about Tweedledee, Tweedledum politics brought me back to my play school days, I must say. But I think if you run with the force and energy with which you spoke, you'll cross the finishing line before many people will have set off, so good luck. And Karen, you say the Lib Dems are Boston, you are Boston. I cannot wait to welcome Karen to our parliamentary party in Westminster, not just because you are Boston, not just because you're such a great community activist, but because you also represent the diverse communities of Britain who are not yet sufficiently represented in our party. And Charles has nicked all my best Eric Pickles' lines. So the auto-cues need to be changed. Charles, thanks so much. I mean, we've been reminded of the courage that you brought to the leadership of the Liberal Democrats and your wit and wisdom this evening. It's a great honour to be on stage with you. Thank you. And of course, I'd also like to pay my own tribute to Chris. And to Anne. And to Anne. And to Anne too. Because I know as well as anyone it takes a tag team to manage life in politics. Chris, I can honestly say, if it wasn't for your guidance and encouragement, I wouldn't have been elected as an MP, let alone now be leading the party. And if it wasn't for the Renard School of Campaigning, this would not be a party ready to transform British politics, ready to win, winning already. Because of Chris, we are dominant in urban Britain, running the majority of big cities outside London, taking the fight to the Conservatives with renewed vigour in the south and southwest. Chris, that platform on which we will all now build is your legacy, and we are immensely, immensely grateful for it. Thank you. Friends, there's one simple idea at the heart of this year's conference, at the heart of everything we do from now until the general election. It's this: the Liberal Democrats are the only party offering change for real, change for good. And that's not always going to be easy. In the current climate, it's going to mean some difficult decisions. Not least, yes, on public spending, where you all know the debate between the parties is raging. Yes, I've said there will need to be cuts, serious and bold cuts, but we will make those cuts so that we can be equally fierce, equally savage about protecting the services that matter most, even as we put the nation's finances back in order. So if ending tax credits for high earners is the price we pay for cutting class sizes and investing in disadvantaged children, so be it. If we need to tell the highest paid public sector staff they won't get an increase in their pensions so that we can afford to keep teachers, nurses, police officers in their jobs, so be it. I won't duck those choices. And in all of them, we'll be guided by our principles, our values. And yes, that includes on tuition fees. I believe tuition fees are wrong. I believe they need to be abolished. And I want us to do that as soon as possible. But we also need to treat people like grown-ups. Ending tuition fees would cost billions of pounds every year. So we need to be certain we can afford it before we make any promises. But I can make this pledge. At the next general election, we will have the best, most progressive package for students of any mainstream party. That is my guarantee to you. We all know Labour's let the country down, and their time is up. So the question now is, what comes next? What kind of change do we want? Conservatives, well, they simply believe it's their turn. But they don't really have to work for it, they don't have to prove themselves. If you want things to be different, really different, then choose different. That's our message. Now, George Osborne's clearly heard that message. Did you hear his recent speech about the Conservatives being the most progressive party in Britain? I can barely say it. The Conservatives. George, I think the clue is in the name. And as Charles has said, did you hear Eric Pickles yesterday? Apparently liberal democracy has always been an important part of the Conservative family. So let me set the record straight. If there's one person I am in no way related to, it's Eric Pickles. There is simply nothing the Conservatives could say now that surprised me. They promise to be whatever they think people want. Liberal Conservatives, progressive Conservatives, compassionate Conservatives, modern Conservatives. They do have a trend, don't they? What's next? Strictly come Conservatives? Britain's got Conservatives? How clean is your Conservative? They will say anything to get elected. David Cameron is the con man of British politics. He's got the con. He just tells people what they want to hear. He says he wants to fix the broken society, yet he's promised tax breaks to the very rich. He talks the talk on the environment, yet he seeks out climate change deniers as new allies in Europe. He claims he wants a new politics, yet he won't even own up to whether or not his big donors pay full British taxes. He says he'll balance the nation's books, yet his most eye-catching proposal is raising the cost of salads in the House of Commons canteen. I think it's an issue of trust. How can anyone trust a word he says? David Cameron offers fake change, not real change. Phony politics, not new politics. And Britain deserves better. There is one principle, David Cameron, George Osborne and his friends, that they do hold very strongly. They believe people like them are entitled to run the country. I believe power should be earned, not inherited. People want politicians who mean what they say. I hear it time after time, place after place, especially at the town hall meetings I hold. And believe me, people come along and say what they mean. I ran a kind of town hall meeting at the Glastonbury Festival this summer, under a great, big, pink sort of TV. And before my opening spiel, a man called Merrick offered to warm up the audience. I said, yeah, sure, okay. I stepped to the start side, still in full view, a sort of mug of ginger tea in hand. It turned out Merrick isn't exactly our biggest fan. No. But he hadn't taken the time to compose a 6-minute poem about us, which he used to tell me and the 200-strong crowd exactly where I could shove each and every one of our policies. So there's something to be said for a bit of stage management. Only a bit, though. You have to try and keep it spontaneous. Camerons would think so. Did you know you can't get into a Cameron Direct public meeting unless you hand over personal information and supply photo ID? Here's a man who says he opposes the surveillance state. Yet asking him a question in a village hall is harder than getting into North Korea. Meetings, everyone's welcome. I tell people, come along, ask anything at all. In Nottingham, someone asked, what's the biggest landmark?
Eric Pickles!
No. It's the African elephant. What most people tell me is that they're fed up. They're just fed up with the business-as-usual cop-out they get from the establishment parties. Sick and tired of the pendulum that only swings to make Britain stand still. They're ready. They're ready for something different. Something we are ready to give to them. Ready because of our values. Ready because of our team. Ready because of you. Our values first. Liberty. The dispersal of power away from the central state, downwards to local communities, and upwards to international organisations. Fairness. Beginning with the opportunities open to all of our children, because that's the measure by which a society must be judged. Flowella is absolutely right on that. Being green, despite whatever Merrick said, taking a stand on behalf of the generations that will follow us, not just when it's popular, but more importantly when it's not. Now those principles are enduring. They're the values Britain needs today. Why else would we keep calling it right on the big issues? Iraq, climate change, Northern Rock, bankers' bonuses, the Speaker, Trident, the Gurkhas. Only the Liberal Democrats stand against populist propaganda on immigration, against the mass incarceration of our children, against the colossal surveillance state. Only the Liberal Democrats were willing to break the silence on the scandalous under-equipment of our troops in Afghanistan. Only the Liberal Democrats have consistently called for radical reform to scrape out the rot in our democracy. What began with disgust at MPs' expenses, has evolved into a much bigger appetite, demand for change. Liberal Democrats, we always knew, didn't we, the time would come when the mere mention of multi-member transferable preferential voting would finally get the pulses racing. Our party has stayed true to its liberal values with their long history, and now, in the most centralised country in Europe, ruled by a government that just snatches freedom away without a second thought, that flouts international law in our name, that pays lip service to the environment but does so little to protect it, that after 12 years still presides over a society in which if you are poor, female, disabled, gay, or from an ethnic minority, your life is still harder than other people's. Now, in that Britain, this Britain, we are more relevant than ever. We're ready because of our team. I'm privileged to lead the most dynamic team in Parliament with our outstanding Shadow Chancellor, where is he? Vince Cable. Very bad news for you, Vince. You're not the only wizard in the party anymore. For anyone who hasn't heard, The Sun has reported that Daniel Radcliffe, the star of the Harry Potter movies, has said he plans to vote Lib Dem. Now, leaders of other parties would probably use that news to try and make some lame pun. No, but I'm not going to. That's a muddle to him. Danny Alexander, Chris Hume, Sarah Tether, Ed Davey, David Laws, Norman Lamb, Julia Goldsworthy, Steve Webb. If I go through the whole superstar roll call, we'll be here all night. And day in, day out, I benefit from the support, the advice of people without whom the party simply wouldn't be what it is today. Shirley, Pam, Charles, me. Our team is ready. All of our MPs. Confident, capable, and ruthless. Trust me, I'm regularly reminded of how ruthless they really are. I went to Leeds recently and my rugby team was thrashed by Greg Mulholland. In Sutton, Paul Burstow pulled a better pint than me. I was beaten in a skipping competition by Jeremy Brown. On a trip to the Arctic, Jenny Willett's obliviousness to the cold put my whimpering to shame. And in Cornwall, I entered a pasty crimping competition, only to be told Julia Goldsworthy's crimping was better than mine. A decision right, Julia, I still contest. Would never have happened on the patio stand. Finally, it's because of the work that you do that we're now ready to embrace the opportunities ahead. The streets you pound, the hours you toil, the phone calls you make, the sheer tenacity with which you confront every challenge. And because of that, this time, this election, it will be different. I know why you do it. I know why you campaign tirelessly on a shoestring, come rain or shine. I know why you replace remote after remote every time another one gets hurled at the TV screen. Because we are the people who look at the world and seek to change it. Restive, optimistic, ambitious. Because we're not just going through the motions, we're going for broke. We're not in this just to sort of do our best. We're in it to make history. And because we know that the Liberal Democrats hold the values that will make this country great, because we know that our moment is coming, because we know that this time it is going to be different. Thank you very much indeed.